Alright, so in this one, I want to go over some of the Bitcoin developments that have taken place since my last video, some of the more macro developments, I guess, and then kind of zoom in and take a look at what I'm looking at locally. So we have gotten a pretty significant bounce from these lows. We kind of held this trend line, this wedge pattern, whatever, and we have now gotten a move back up towards the point of control of this section of price action, if you want to call this a range. I think you still can, with this being a high, this being the low. And we have broken market structure of some kind. If you take a look at the 4-hour structure that I drew out in one of my last videos, we have gotten above the last 4-hour lower high, and we have closed 4-hour candles above it. So we have broken this 4-hour downtrend. And so based off of this 4-hour structure, we could get a retracement here, come all the way back down towards, I don't know, some of the support that we have in this area, maybe like this order block or something. And as long as we don't lose this low, we could still put in a higher low on the 4-hour and potentially begin a 4-hour uptrend here. Now, we are still in a daily downtrend. If I turn on my daily structure, we will not break the daily downtrend until we get above this high up here, or until we put in a new low and then take out whatever high creates that low. But for right now, we are in a daily downtrend still. So, even if we form some kind of uptrend on the 4-hour, even if we kind of break out of this little wedge pattern that I've been looking at, we still could potentially just reject from somewhere and put in a lower high in the daily and then just continue that structure. So even if things start looking really bullish here, even if we start forming some kind of 4-hour uptrend here and, breaking out of this top trend line, I would still be careful until we're able to close up above this high, because I'm sure a lot of people are going to be wanting to long the breakout of this pattern. We've been in this wedge for over a month now, and by this point, I'm sure a lot of people are aware of it. Most people are probably aware of it, so yeah, I wouldn't be one of those people just trying to long as soon as we break out of this, because we could kind of get a fake out to the upside and just kind of justify a rejection here because we're still in a daily downtrend. So in terms of the larger picture, that's kind of what I'm looking at right now. I think if we can close a daily candle up above this high, then things will be different. And then maybe we can start looking at a potential retracement and maybe a higher low on the daily. And at that point, pretty much all market structures would be bullish. We are still technically in weekly bullish structure as well, so I think a transition of this daily structure would be very significant. And I would also be looking to see if we just SFP this, because I have stated that there's probably lots of stop losses up above us, lots of liquidity because of all the lower highs that we've been putting in. We didn't run liquidity at any point, really. I mean, I guess this was kind of a liquidity run of this high right here, but we didn't get many of these. So I would be very interested to see if we just get a liquidity grab up above that daily lower high, because I'm sure a lot of people are aware of this daily lower high, and so there might be a lot of stop losses up above there. And yeah, if we just get a wick above there, if we don't close up above that daily lower high, then yeah, obviously it's not a break. So at that point, that would probably be more bearish than anything, just running the liquidity and then getting a sharp rejection back down. So I would be very interested to see what happens if we can get up around this high. So looking more locally, we are in a 1-hour uptrend right now. We broke the 1-hour downtrend when we broke this last lower high. And yeah, it was an SFP, but I'm looking at 1-hour structure, so I don't really care. I'm still going to count it. I would like to see this 1-hour uptrend hold, even though it is showing signs of weakness. You can see the last break that we had was a lot less than the one previous. This first one was 2.8% about, and this one was only 1.4%, so decreased by about 50%. So this uptrend is weakening. But right above us, we do have a very key area of resistance that I would like to see us get a move up to before we break this 1-hour uptrend. Right now, I am in a long. I entered this long of this SFP into this 40-minute order block, 45-minute order block. And the reason I was interested in this is because this was the lowest order block I could find before losing this 1 hour higher low. And right now that is the only trade that I am in. Let me try and clean this up a little bit. But we have come up and just barely tagged this 30-minute order block. If you really zoom in, we just barely tagged it there. I was hoping we would get a move a little bit further inside of this order block, and then maybe transition structure or something, because I was looking to kind of hedge here, see if I can get into a short from the high of the range. And we have gotten a rejection from this area. I didn't see anything that gave me a clear entry there, so I didn't take that short. But I am still in this long. If this 1 hour structure continues and we end up putting in a new higher high, then we may see a kind of continuation of this trend where maybe this next break ends up being less than the previous one. So the last one was like 1.4%. Maybe this one only ends up being like 0.8% maybe. Maybe gonna move into this golden pocket, something like that. So that would kind of line up with this area of resistance that I'm looking at above us. And I mean, even if we get a move up to that untapped daily, that would still be less. Wouldn't be kind of following the trend of decreasing by 50%, but it still would be weakening in the trend. So that is probably my ideal scenario, is we put in another higher high, get rejected from here, and show signs that this uptrend is continuing to weaken. Maybe then we get a retracement on that 4 hour structure and look to put in a higher low. And if that is the case, I do have some support levels marked out below us. So this was a 2-minute order block, a 2-minute supply zone. So I was looking at it as resistance. But if we go to the 2 hour time frame, we did not respect this at all. In fact, we pretty much just blasted straight through this area. So the reason I still have this marked out is sometimes when you do not respect an order block in the way that you would expect it to be respected. So, this was a resistance order block, so I would expect it to act as resistance for us, but since it didn't, sometimes that can then be flipped into support, and this can act as support for price. And this is called a breaker block. So I still have this marked out because there's a chance it acts as support, and it does overlap with this 30-minute order block, which I have marked out right there. And we have this little zone where they overlap, and there is this golden pocket here, but I'm not gonna look at that one. Actually, I'm gonna pull it down to the low. The reason I had it pulled from this low originally is because I was looking for a retracement pretty much from this move. We were continuing 1 hour structure here, so I was just pulling the fib from basically covering this leg of the move. But since we put in another higher high, I would probably prioritize the primary fib pull. And with this, the 0.5 is lining up right around this area, and the golden pocket is lining up with this lower order block, this 15-minute order block. So there are some zones of support, and we can also check volume of the uptrend. I like to take a fixed range and pull it from the low to the high and see if the point of control lines up anywhere in here. And look at that, it does. So that is an area of confluence, I would say, right down here. And I would also be looking at this 4 hour order block all the way down at the lows, because following 4 hour structure, we can come all the way back down to that order block, still put in a higher low, and still continue this uptrend. So this could potentially work with structure, and we do have a wick down here that we could grab liquidity from. So pretty much I'd be looking at all these areas to the downside for a potential higher low, so long as we do not take out the high, because we just recently got that 4 hour break. If I turn on the 4 hour structure and declutter this a little bit, we just closed 4 hour candles up above this high with this last push to the upside. So yeah, right now we can still come all the way back down here, put in a higher low, put in a higher high. But if we put in a high first, if we come up and close above this high now, then the 4 hour higher low would be right here. So yeah, so long as we don't take out the high first, I would be willing to consider all of those areas to the downside for a potential higher low on the 4-hour. And yeah, that's pretty much it for my plans. Other than that, I'd be looking locally. If we come back up towards the highs of the range again and I see a reason to want to enter, then maybe I'll take a short scalp. But right now, I am looking to potentially hold this long for if this structure is going to continue. And if not, then yeah, we'll be looking lower for potential 4-hour higher lows. And again, if structure does continue, then yeah, all of these areas to the upside interest me. The golden pocket, untapped daily up here, coming in around the highs of the range. I mean, you can probably adjust this, maybe pull this over to this low, and maybe the value area high lines up a little bit better, and it does. So yeah, this is around the highs of the range, so this is an area that interests me, as well as kind of this top trend line. And we have an 8-hour order block up here as well. But if we start getting above these areas of resistance, there is, again, lots of liquidity above us. So it's possible that we just kind of squeeze all that liquidity. A very sharp move to the upside is possible. All right, well, thank you all for watching. If you enjoyed, please consider leaving a like and subscribing to the channel. Really appreciate it. And I will see you all in the next video.